Has quarantine made you feel a little bit unmotivated to do just about anything? That's probably been caused by the social isolation as well as the never-ending despair that is 2020. Have you found yourself mindlessly scrolling through TikTok all morning? Hey, you know what? Now that you mention it, I'm not talking to you about your addiction. I'm talking to the camera. I don't have an addiction. Or maybe your sleep schedule's so messed up that you only eat one meal a day because you wake up at 5 p.m. and go to sleep at 7 a.m. Not to mention online school is somehow even harder than in-person classes, even though you can cheat to your heart's content. And finally, are you unable to do any work without the extreme pressure of real deadlines and the fear of disappointing others? If you happen to meet any or all of these criteria, then you're probably going to want to see what I just made. So as of late, I've been feeling, quite honestly, very unmotivated to do anything. See, I'm the sort of person that Sunday night, I will sit down and say, you know what? This week is gonna be the week where I do every single thing right. I'm gonna wake up every morning at 6 a.m., go for an hour run, have an acai bowl, and then get straight to work, read 200 pages of a book, and still have time to socialize. Let's just say I can't even wake up at 6 a.m. I'm the sort of person where if someone else puts a deadline on me, or it's like school or something like that, that will fuel me with so much anxiety that even if I procrastinate to the day before, it will be done. I might want to kill myself in the middle of it, but it will get done. But now here's the problem. With no tangible pressures on me currently, well, what is one to do? It's not like I can have other people be accountable for me. My inability to ask others for help? I also happen to have Google Home. I thought, well, you know what? I have enough technical skill to do enough, or at least Google my way through anything. It finally works. I can finally close these 50 tabs. With a little bit of technological trickery and a lot of hours of work, a surprising amount of hours. I didn't actually expect this project to take as much effort as it did. Pray for my code and that it works, because it's going to take 14 years for it to transfer over to the server. And one might even say that it was kind of redundant that I spent over 3 days working on this when I could have just as easily used all of that energy and inspiration into my other pursuits. But you know what? We're not going to talk about that. I'd like to introduce you to the smart mouth anti-procrastination assistant that motivates tired and unmotivated masochists into being responsible human beings. The Google Home Robot, or SMAPA Robot for short. Yeah, I couldn't really think of any acronyms. I kind of used all of my last brain cells getting this thing to work. Well, there was one that I thought up of, but it didn't quite have the right ring to it. It was bot that inspires tired college humans. But you see, I don't feel like it hit all the right demographics, you know? But you're not here to watch me sit in front of a camera talking to myself. You're here to see the darn thing in action, so let's get a little demonstration, huh? Hey Google, let me talk to SMAPA Robot.
Hello, I am SMAPA, the smart-mouthed anti-procrastination assistant that motivates tired and unmotivated masochists into being responsible human beings robot. My goal is to wrangle your 2 brain cells into getting some work done.
She'll be sure to keep you on task. I'm ready.
Slap some sunscreen on your pallid face and go for a run.
And don't try and trick her, she knows everything. Maybe even too much. Hey Google, tell SMAPA Robot that I finished my run.
That is false.
How did you know?
Don't doubt my ability to track your every movement, human. At this rate, the only shape you'll be in is a sphere.
Every step of the way, she's there to boss you around. Hey Google, tell SMAPA Robot that I'm done with breakfast.
Take your seat and begin your 3 hours of coursework.
SMAPA has plenty of encouraging and motivating lines. I'm bored.
Oh boo-hoo, you poor thing. Here, let me play you a song. Quit your whining and get your lazy ass to work already.
With the power of machine learning and synthetic speech, she's as good as it gets. I'm done with my coursework.
Pull out a book of sufficient reading level. I would suggest anything of Dr. Seuss if you are looking to challenge yourself. And then read for 50 minutes.
She'll be sure to keep encouraging you even when you feel like you don't want to work anymore. I don't want to work.
Get back to work or I'll play ASMR mukbangs on max volume. I know how much you hate mastication noises.
She can even tell you what's next on your schedule. What's next?
Okay, weeaboo, now for 30 minutes of watching anime. I mean studying Japanese.
Being artificial intelligence, she doesn't much care about hurting your feelings. Okay, Google. Tell SMAPA robot that I'm done with Japanese.
Finally, you're done. Now I can go about my life and not have to keep harassing you to do your work. How feeble-minded humans are. Don't ask for me until tomorrow. I have a Zoom meeting with Hal this evening.
So I'm just going to try and do a very simple explanation of how all this stuff works. If you want an in-depth explanation, I don't know, ask me. So essentially this is how SMAPA works. I used an API made by Google called Dialogflow, which allows me to basically build a Google Home app. It has a bunch of other things that you can do, like a chatbot and a whole bunch of machine learning stuff, but anyways. So that app gets deployed to the Google Home, and then I can communicate with it, and it will output the pre-programmed lines that I've put in, as well as my schedule and other things like that. So how does the running work? So how does the Google Home actually authenticate that I went for a run? So I go out for a run, and I bring my phone with me. So my phone is constantly tracking my location, so that when I leave a designated area, an app that I downloaded called If This Then That triggers a action which I programmed to be editing a Google Sheet, which will log in the date and time that I went out for my run. So now when I come back and tell the Google Home that I went for a run, it'll go back to the Dialogflow, which I set up to have web service capabilities. So Dialogflow will then communicate with my server that I set up, which will then run some PHP and backend code that I programmed that basically boils down to accessing the Google Sheet and verifying whether or not I logged in that day. So then this all gets passed back. In this case it would be true because I did go for a run. Code returns true, so the server outputs the response to Dialogflow, which then goes back to the Google Home. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, Google. Tell SMAPA robot that I'm done with Japanese.
Good day. What can I do for you today?
Hello?
Hey, you are talking to Sam Pro.
Who the heck is SamPro?